This is the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mohsin.
Terrific to be back here again, folks, and it is the best day of the week, the most favoritist day. It's Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday. It's a brand new day with no mistakes in it. I have a friend that's, every time I say that, I have a friend that says that's a Patism. And I'm like, what's a Patism?
It is a Patism,
oh.
Yes. Couldn't agree more.
Well, that's a Patism, and the Keep It Simple Savings Kiss, that's a Sarahism.
I'll take it. I'll tell you what. I always want folks to realize that it is not that difficult or complicated. I understand finances, Pat, create a lot of anxiety for folks, and it's not a conversation you often want to have typically at dinner or out with friends. So I do encourage you to pick up the phone and call me, and we can chat privately about where your goals are, how we can reduce that mortgage payment, whether we can help you out with paying off some additional debt. There are many ways to get this done, and I'll tell you what, it sometimes is a lot simpler than you think it is.
Mm-hmm. And how about, Sarah, the student loan debt?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it always interests me, and I mean, there was a time that I had a lot of student loan debt, from both my kids and even my own and my husband's, and but how come there's never a limit? How come they never say, nope, you've outdone your amount that you can borrow? That doesn't seem to happen with student loans.
Well, it depends on the programs that you're applying for, and we've talked about this several months ago about the Parent Plus program, which I find very scary because it doesn't verify your income or your employment status. So now you're getting approved as a parent for a loan that you may not be approved for because you don't have the income to pay it back. And the worst part of it, and I have talked to listeners who have said this before, they had no idea that a Parent Plus program can garnish your wages if you default on the payments. And they will continue to do so whether your paycheck or your Social Security check. And I'm not into scare tactics. I just want folks to understand what they're signing up for. So before you sign up for any student loan program or co-sign on behalf of your kids, feel free to chat with me. I'll look over the terms with you. I'm not a lawyer, but I certainly have seen many of these programs. I'm not saying they're good, bad, and different. I just say that look at the fine print and understand the terms, because there may be an easier way to do this without having you face some very scary consequences in the long term. Far better than you co-sign on a Parent Plus student loan program than have you refinance your mortgage and take some money out and have sort of an arrangement with your child, because rates are fixed. They're lower than the student loan program rates right now, and no one's going to garnish your wages or come after you while you're retiring or receiving your Social Security check. And to me, that's just plain scary, Pat.
It sure is. And I know, Sarah, that you are available even for a person that might have a question about student loans, that you would be very happy to help them with that, because you've got your finger on the pulse of all these different programs, and the ones that are not so good and the ones that are better. So I want to encourage our listeners, if it's a simple question about the student loans, you're trying to figure out which one to take or not take, give Sarah a call at 1-800-662-9550, and she can help you with that. There's a lot of them out there, and we're too busy doing everything else we need to do to run our households and watch over our kids and do our jobs. But Sarah has always got her finger on the pulse of these. Anything to do with finances, that includes the latest student loans, the good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones.
Right, and the bottom line is I will answer any questions that you need help with on your finances. I mean, we do have so many phone calls coming in daily, and I am happy to help. It's a free phone call, Pat. I think that it's important for folks to make decisions, long-term decisions, with the facts. A lot of folks may have already signed on board. I've chatted with a lot of parents who have co-signed and not realized the consequences, because when you co-sign on anything with anyone, you are now held liable and responsible for that payment. The person who is supposed to make that payment, if they default on that payment, it will show up on your credit report. Therefore, it'll damage your credit as well. The only thing that I say to folks is before you enter into any contract with anyone that is going to be held jointly is to know the facts and to definitely see the options that are available outside of holding on to that agreement jointly, because you cannot, and this is life in general, you can't control anybody or anyone else's actions. I've seen folks who've looked at life throughout many years of marriage and have said, and have laughed after 40, 50 years of marriage and said, I thought I could change my husband and I don't know why it's taking me this long to realize that I cannot change him. And that applies to your kids and to relatives and friends. So believe me, signing on board or co-signing on board with someone is a big decision. Before you enter it, definitely call me, chat with me, find out other options. Far better to refinance your mortgage, take cash out, and have a separate agreement than having a loan that the federal government is going to end up asking you to return at some point or garnish your wages for it.
Absolutely, Sarah. And so that's a very, very good. Just be cautious. Be cautious. Call Sarah up. Tell her the scenario. She may find a whole better way for you to handle that kind of a situation if you have equity, exactly, as opposed to just putting your name in ink somewhere that's going to be against you for a lot of years. It's just not a comfortable thing to do in many cases. And along with that, I know, Sarah, that you've got some good tips for us on credit report mistakes that might be damaging our scores too, that you're going to talk to us a little bit about that.
Right. And I think that with credit history and identifying the information and accounts and payment information, that can be very, what's the word, Pat? It's difficult to decipher.
Yes.
Because the report, if you see it, I know a lot of folks have done credit reports online. I encourage you not to do that because it's going to end up having most of your information is going to be dispersed or sold, or you're going to get spammed. I encourage you to chat with me before you pull credit with anybody. When we pull credit, it's done for a specific purpose. It's firstly to opt you out of anyone ever reaching out to you and spamming you. It's for our lenders to read and approve you on the loan, and then you can get a copy if you should need it, and we can work with you on reviewing it line item by line item if you have questions so that you understand what the credit report reads. Now, with credit reports, Pat, a lot of the stuff may end up being incorrect as well. So sometimes similar names, we've chatted about this,
Yes.
will create a situation where someone with a common name like Smith may end up reporting that you, who may not have been delinquent on account, will look as if you have been delinquent. We can work with you on that because we do work with the credit bureau directly. And when that happens, Pat, when we're correcting situations like that, it's raising your credit score, and then also your ability to purchase your first home or second home or even refinance your mortgage. So I always say there are really no obstacles. The only obstacle that we're facing right now is what's going on in our mind, whether we're in the no place or in the yes place. I promise you we'll get you in the yes place if you call us and ask for me. Just chat with me. I'm here. I'm a happy camper on the weekend waiting for you to call me. So ask for Sarah, and I do enjoy the conversations, Pat. So, I mean, it's a straightforward, simple, toll-free number. It'll take me about 5 minutes to tell you where we are, where we're going, and I'll promise you a brighter future. So 1-800-662-9550.
And just remember, no matter where you're at, whether you've got stellar credit or not so great credit, whether your debt ratio is high or low, whether your home is upside down, no matter what your age is, there are so many different packages that Sarah has customized for people. She can help you, and even if you've been turned down by a local institution, there are many people that Sarah has been able to say yes to, though they were told no from their local bank or their local credit union, and not to in any way try to diminish the importance of the local banks and credit unions. They are fine institutions, but wholesale lending, which is what Sarah is the expert in, can sometimes do things for you that others can't. And I can see Marita is telling me it's time to wind down again already for my favorite day. And let me give you a number, Sarah, 1-800-662-9550, and check them out on Mohsin Mortgage Facebook.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mohsin Mortgage Program with Sarah Mohsin. Mohsin Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.